Hello everybody and welcome back to Command Point. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the new Inquisitorial Agent kill team out of the new Ashes of Faith box set. Before we get into that, I do want to thank Games Workshop for sending this box out to Shane and I ahead of time for us to do a review on. A little bit about this team before we start diving into it. I'm so excited for this team. If you've been following the channel for a little bit, you know how much I love like the old Inquisition skirmish game. I even went and kit bashed one of the characters from that old game, kind of not really way back, but like around this time last year, I think. So I have been anxiously awaiting any sort of like Inquisition kill team. So, and we finally have one, and I'm so excited to get into it and share these rules with you guys. But before we start talking about the rules, I do want to go ahead and play. Oh my god, I am so washed out. Hang on, let me hit the blinds real fast. All right, hopefully that's better. But yeah, before we get into the rules, guys, I do want to go ahead and tell you that Command Point now has merch. So if you want to, if you're enjoying the content that Shane and I are putting out, you're looking for a way to support us, but you don't want to do like a monthly thing like the Patreon or the YouTube channel membership, you can go ahead and pick up some merch. We do have mugs, we've got the t-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got crew neck sweatshirts, stickers. The stickers are actually huge. Like these are like comically sized stickers. Like this is almost as big as my face. So yeah, if you want to rep your favorite kill team channel, check out our merch store. Link is down in the description. All right, so let's get into the rules here. So starting off with the Inquisitorial Agent kill team archetype, they can take any. They can take any secondary, or they can take any tack up in the game pretty much. Any of the non-faction specific ones. That's kind of crazy. I don't even know if there's another. I don't think there's another team out there that has that kind of tack op flexibility. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So looking at the operatives, so the team is kind of complicated with its list building. So you can either take 12 Inquisitorial Agent operatives, or you can take 7 Inquisitorial Agent operatives and 1 ancillary support option. So we'll talk about the ancillary support option here in a second. But the Inquisitorial Agent operatives are selected as follows. You have to take 1 Interrogator operative and the Tome Skull operative, and then you can select from the following list. You either select 10 operatives or 5 of these options if you want to take a ancillary support option. The Auto Savant, Quest Keeper, Death World Veteran, which is by far and away my favorite model in this box. It's such a cool throwback to Old Inquisitor. I can't wait to build him and paint him up. The Enlightener, the Gunservator, which is so cool. You can either give him a heavy bolter, a multi-melta, or a plasma cannon. The Hexorcist, the Mystic, which I think is going to be really important to how this team functions. The Penal Legionnaire, which you're probably not going to see a lot of, spoiler alert, and the Pistolir, which is like, it's Shane and my like favorite model. So your kill team can only include each operative above once unless you are choosing to forego the ancillary support option, in which case you can take up to 2 gunservator operatives. So you can take 2 of those gunservators if you're able to kit bash up another gunservator. You can take 2 heavy bolters, 2 multi-meltas, or 2 plasma cannons, or you can mix and match them, because it doesn't say that you have to, you can only take like 1 gun servitor of a certain type, so that's pretty cool. So the ancillary support that they've been alluding to on this first page is kind of outlined here. In the box are included, you can either take 5 Sisters of Silence, or you can take 5 Tempesta Scions, and these models all come in the Ashes of Faith box set for you. So the way this works is whatever ancillary support option you choose, you get those models, and then you sub out like their original faction keyword, and you put in place of that Inquisitorial Agents. That way all the strategic ploys and tac ops will wind up working for them, and all the other model specific abilities from your Inquisitor agents. So the Tempesta Scions, we're not really going to get into that much. Sisters of Silence are cool. We'll talk about them when we talk about the data sheets. But yeah, that's pretty much how ancillary support works. So in addition to those two options, you can also take 5 Exaction Squad operatives, you can take 5 Kasserkin operatives, 6 Veteran Guardsman operatives, or 6 Imperial Navy Breacher operatives. Everything is kind of like outlined here as to what you can take with these. It doesn't really tell you everything you need to know because some of these are a little bit different than how they are in like the original books. And obviously these models are going to work a lot differently because you're losing the Vet Guard, Navy Breacher, Exaction Squad, and Kasserkin keywords, and it's getting replaced by the Inquisitorial Agent keyword. So before we get into the data sheets, let's go ahead now and talk about the ability that this kill team has. It's called Inquisitorial Mandate. So Inquisitorial Agent kill teams have a max roster and data slate limit of 30 operatives instead of the normal 20. So if you're just taking the 7 or however many it was, like Inquisitorial operatives, you can fit a lot of different kill teams and flexibility into this one roster. Because most of these options, with the exclusion of Vet Guard, I think, they're all just, it's 5 more models. So there's a lot of room for flexibility with this kill team when it comes to like army building. You actually have like agency and flexibility when it comes to that, which is something that I think this game has, unfortunately, a weak point of kill team is that you don't really have a lot of options with most kill teams. It's kind of like you know exactly what the best option is going to be, and there's hardly ever reason to stray from that in a lot of instances. So I'm happy that this team is different in that aspect, and I think it can probably be very powerful too, competitively speaking. So let's go ahead now and talk about some of the data sheets. We'll start here with the Interrogator Agent. So the Interrogator is not the Inquisitor. The player is presumed to be the Inquisitor, at least in the narrative missions, in the narrative like campaign that comes in this new box set. We've got a model with 3 circle movement, 8 wounds, a 5-up save, 2 APL. It's got the extended stock auto pistol there, but the model really shines not really as like a combat model or something like that. It shines more so as a buffing piece. So as you can see, there are a lot of different abilities on this model's data sheet. So first up, we've got the Consecrated Tome. So when this operative is selected for deployment, also select either the Denunciation or Sanctification ability for it to have for the battle. And the friendly Tome Skull operative has the other ability for the battle. So Denunciation. Each time a friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative fights in combat with or makes a shooting attack against an enemy operative within 1 circle of this operative, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of that friendly operative's weapon for that combat or shooting attack. Sanctification. Each time an enemy operative fights in combat with or makes a shooting attack against a friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative within circle of this operative, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of that enemy operative's weapon for that combat or shooting attack. And then it has Changed Tome, so once per turning point at any point during this operative's activation, if a friendly Tome Skull operative is within range 1 triangle of this operative, and neither of them are within engagement range of an enemy operative, you can choose to swap the Consecrated Tome abilities. It's an action, well, it's not an action. You can just do it during your operative's activation. It doesn't cost you a point of AP or anything, so that's pretty cool. Both of the Denunciation and Sanctification abilities, I don't really think they're that big of a deal. I can see putting Denunciation on the Tome Skull and then having the Tome Skull like actually like go out while you leave your Inquisitor, your Interrogator Agent like kind of in your backfield, or keeping your Interrogator like close by to some of your other like like your priority threat models, I guess we'll call them, like the models you want to keep alive the most, and putting Sanctification on your Interrogator, keeping them close, giving them another layer of protection, basically. The Tome Skull does not really have anything special going on outside of, it shares the Sanctification and Denunciation abilities with the Interrogator Agent. It's kind of just an extension of this model. So moving on here, we have the Auto Savant Agent. This is a 3-circle move model with a 4-up save and 7 wounds. It's got mechanical appendages as its weapon, which is it's bad, but really this model is Shane and I think this model is an auto take for this team, despite it, not having any sort of like melee or damage output, and that's because of its abilities. So it's got Scrivener. So each subsequent time your opponent uses each strategic or tactical ploy, excluding command rerolls, during the battle, you gain 1 CP. That right there is amazing. And I shouldn't have to go into it to tell you why that's so good. You're going to be getting so much more CP than any of your opponents, unless you're in a mirror match. That it's great. We'll have to talk about their ploys and stuff to see exactly what you would want to be spending these command points on. But rest assured, you're going to want to be spending a lot of them because the ploys for this team are really good. Next up, we have Chronicle. This is just a narrative play thing. In narrative play, in the update data slate step, if this operative was not incapacitated, you can select one other friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative that was in the battle to gain D3 experience points. So if you're playing narrative, you're going to want to be taking this model too. That way you can get some bonus XP. The unique action for this model is Irrefutable Report for 1 AP. You select one objective marker. Until this operative performs this action again, while it's within 3 of that objective marker, it dominates it. A friendly operative that dominates an objective marker always controls it, regardless of any other rules or the APL of enemy operatives within the required distance of it. So it's got like super objective secured, I guess we'll call it. If an enemy operative would also dominate that objective marker, control is determined as normal. And you can only perform this action once per battle. So really powerful ability here. I think you just sit this guy on kind of like a mid-board objective that you think like your opponent might have a chance of getting to and contesting, or you can maybe sneak this model up the board and then have it dominate an objective on your opponent's side. And as long as this model is alive, it's still going to be dominating it. I don't think there's any other models in this game that have like that dominate keyword, I guess. So I think there's a lot of interesting plays you can make with this model. And for that reason, Shane and I think it's an auto take. Next up here, we have the Questkeeper Agent. So this model was giving me big like Corn Butcher Legionnaire vibes. The melee weapon for this model, and this is a melee model, is the Eviscerator. 4 attacks hitting on 4s, damage 5/6 with Brutal and Unrelenting and Reap 2. So the Unrelenting keyword is each time a friendly operative fights in combat with this weapon, if you are the attacker, you can reroll one of your attack dice. Brutal, obviously, basically all of your hits are treated as crits when it comes to your opponent trying to parry them. And then this model has the Irrepressible Purpose ability. So if this operative is incapacitated in combat, you can strike with one of your remaining attack dice before it's removed from the kill zone. That's great if you rolled something like a crit, and then you can just push that through even on death, inflict 6 damage to a model. That's pretty good. And then finally it has Zealot, so each time this operative would lose a wound, roll a d6, and on a 5-up, that wound is not lost. So what is it, like a 33% chance of the model not getting a wound, despite having only 7 wounds and a 5-up save. That's pretty nice. It's a lot nicer than having like an invuln save or something, I think. So now we've got the Deathworld Veteran. 3-circle move, 5-up save, 7 wounds. It's got an auto pistol. It's got a knife. So it gets just 1 attack, but it hits on a 2, damage 5/7 with lethal 5. And then it has the polearm, 4 attacks, hitting on 3, damage 4/5 with Reap 2. It has the Hunter ability, so he can perform a charge action while it has a Conceal Order, and it has Weathered, so once per turning point when this operative fights in combat, in the resolved successful hit step of that combat, you can ignore the damage inflicted on it from 1 normal hit. Yeah, that's a pretty cool ability. He's a pretty cool model. Don't really know if he's an auto take, but I'm going to be taking him. He's cool. He looks awesome. He's the best looking model in this kit, I think. Next up, we have the Enlightener Agent. So I believe when it comes to the Enlightener Agent, when you get the sprue, you can either choose to build the Enlightener Agent or the Interrogator. So really, you're not ever going to run this model unless you can kit bash one for your own, or you wait for, like, this team to eventually come out as a single box set. So it's got an auto pistol, and then it has paired blades. Those have 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, damage 3/5 with balance, rending, and cripple. With cripple, each time this operative fights in combat with this weapon in the resolve successful hit step, if it strikes with a critical hit, that enemy operative is injured until the end of the battle, regardless of any rules that say it cannot be injured. That seems like it can be pretty good. Literally a game-breaking ability on those paired blades. Next, we have No Escape. So each time an enemy operative would perform a fallback action while within engagement range of this operative. I don't know how often you're going to be falling back from a 7 wound model with just a 5-up save, just saying. Roll 1d6, subtracting 1 if that enemy operative has a higher wounds count characteristic than this operative, and adding 1 if that enemy operative is injured. I feel like the models that would want to be falling back are going to be injured a lot of the time because of that cripple ability. So on a 4-up, that enemy operative cannot perform that action, but the action points subtracted are not refunded. Whoa! The more I look at this model, the more I want to run it just to see what kind of, like, it's like a tar pit model, really is what it is. Oh, you charged me, you are now injured until the end of the game as long as I get 1 crit on you. I get 4 attacks on 3s with balanced. I mean, yeah. Oh, it's got rending too. Forgot about that. Yeah. Pretty cool model. Once again, don't know if it's an auto take, but I want to run it. So next up, we have got the gunservator. So this is where all the firepower for the interrogation team pretty much comes from outside of, well, it's this model and the Pistolir, really. So he's got a heavy bolter, 5 attacks hitting on 4s, damage 4/5 with ceaseless fusillade and heavy, and P1. The multi-melta is 4 attacks hitting on 4s, damage 6/3, AP2 heavy with mortal wounds 4. Great. And then we've got the plasma cannon is a standard and a supercharge profile. It's either going to be AP1 blast circle heavy or AP2 blast circle heavy and hot. And this model's got 11 wounds and a 4-up save, so a lot tankier than the other models. The ability on this one is each time this operative is activated, if it's visible to and within 3 of a friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative, you add 1 to its APL. And that's important, because as you can see on the datasheet here, it only has 1 APL. So you got to keep somebody else close to this model. And I don't think you can just have, like, the skull close to it. Let me see here. The Tome Skull does have the Inquisitorial Agent keyword. Yeah, so the Tome Skull is an operative, so that's interesting. Actually, I would probably put the Interrogator Agent with the Sanctification and keep that model close to the gunservator while I'm playing. I think that's the best way to go about it. Next, we have the Hexorcist Agent. So this is like the crazy priest guy with the shotgun. Super cool, super Inquisitor looking model. Unfortunately, I don't think he's that good. He's got 3 circle movement, 5-up save, 7 wounds. He's got a 3/3 shotgun that hits on 3s, range 6. He has the Hexorcise ability, so each time an enemy operative visible to and within 6 of this operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, your opponent cannot reroll their attack or defense dice for that combat or shooting attack. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, having a 6-inch range on this is, that can be really interesting. And then he has Chasen, or Chasen. Sorry about the pronunciation, for 1 AP. So you select 1 enemy operative within this operative's line of sight and within 6 of it. Then you select 1 unique action or ability that operative has until the end of that enemy's until the end of that enemy operative's next activation. It's treated as not having that unique action or ability. This operative cannot perform this action while within engagement range of an enemy operative. Note that weapon rules explained in the abilities section of an operative's data card are or excuse me, with a asterisk are not themselves abilities, for example, unrelenting. Okay. So yeah, I think the model's okay. It looks like it's just going to be messing with your opponent. That exercise ability I think would be really good against teams, specifically against like intercession, where their whole thing is they get to reroll their attack dice with their doctrines. So being able to shut that down on everything visible to and within 6 of this model for like 1 turn, that could be good. Next up, we have the Mystic Agent, 3-circle move, 5-up save, 7 wounds. It's got the Icon Bearer ability, which we've probably gone over like a million times with a million different teams. But the 2 unique actions that it has are what make this model an auto take. So we have Divine Guidance for 1 AP. It's a psychic action. Both of these abilities are going to be psychic actions. You select a friendly operative within 6, and until the end of the turning point, each time that operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack in the roll attack dice step, you get to retain 1 failed hit as a successful normal hit, or you can turn 1 successful normal hit into a critical hit. And then you can't do this as the same time as you're doing Divine Protection. So Divine Protection, you select 1 friendly operative within 6. Until the end of the turning point, each time a shooting attack is made against that operative in the roll defense dice step, you can retain 1 failed save as a successful save or 1 successful normal save as a critical save. So these abilities are kind of just like mirrors of each other. You can only do one or the other per turn, basically. Can't do them all in the same turn, but I think it's a really flexible model, and pairing it up next to, let's say, the like the gunservator. Like, I think I would keep this model closer to the gunservator than I would the interrogator, now that I think about it, just so that you can continuously give it the divine guidance. Because that model is only hitting on a 4. You want it to hit. You want it to get as many hits as possible, or turn a normal hit there into a crit with any of those heavy weapons. That could be really good. Next, we have the Penal Legionnaire Agent. He's got a 2/2 hand flamer, 5 attacks hitting on 2s. The Chem Mask, it can ignore any and all modifiers to its characteristics, and it's not affected by the stun critical hit rule. It does have Cruel. Each time this operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack against an enemy operative that has fewer than its starting number of wounds, you can reroll any or all of your attack dice. Yeah, that's a great ability. I wish it was just on a better chassis. I think I'm going to be taking the Deathworld Veteran over this model, because once again, in this kit, you can either build this model or you can build the Deathworld Legionnaire. I'll probably just wind up kit bashing my own version of this model. But yeah, a cool model. Don't think it's really an auto take, but we're just going to move on here to the Pistolir Agent, which Shane and we both love this model. So, like most of the team, 3-circle movement, 5-up save, 7 wounds. The weapons on this model are really good. It has a scoped plasma pistol, which has not the 2 normal plasma pistol profiles. It's got 3. So at the top here, you'll see it says scoped. So 4 attacks hitting on 4s, damage 4/5 AP 1, and there's no range. So this is an infinite range plasma pistol. That's great. Then it's got the standard and the supercharged profiles, which we've seen a million times before. And then it has the suppressed auto pistol. So it's just a normal auto pistol, but it does have range 6, but it does have the silent keyword. So for its abilities, it has Pistolir, so you can ignore any or all modifiers to the ballistic skill characteristic of this operative's ranged weapons. And then for 1 AP, it can perform a pistol barrage, so you can make a shooting attack with a scoped plasma pistol and the suppressed auto pistol in any order. This action is treated as a shoot action, and this operative cannot perform this action if it has a conceal order. So when it says make a attack with the scoped plasma pistol, it doesn't just mean the scoped profile, it just means the plasma pistol. So you can choose any of those 3 profiles, you make an attack with that, then you can make an attack with the suppressed auto pistol for 1 AP. Fantastic. So the other data sheets that are included in this rulebook are going to be the Sisters of Silence. They're basically the same as they are in the compendium for the Custodes kill team. They do have Psychic Abomination, so while an operative is within 6 of this operative, it cannot perform psychic actions. This operative cannot be targeted or affected by psychic actions. That's going to be great against, Warp Coven. Trying to think of any other teams that really tech into Psychic Abomination. I guess Legionnaires, right? The Chaos Legionnaire Warlock, Warp Flame, Warp Fire, Acolyte, something. You know the model. Yeah, so that could be pretty good. It does say while an operative. So if you're taking the Mystic Agent on the team, definitely make sure to keep it outside of range of any of your 5 Sisters of Silence. And then they can either take Bolt Guns, the Executioner Great Blade, or the Flamer. Is the Flamer good? Nope. Moving on, we've got the Tempesta Scions for this kill team. And guys, they are Ballistic Skill and Weapon Skill 4 up. Yeah, so with these guys, let's talk about what you can take if you're just building the team from the box here. So other than the Gunner and Trooper operatives, the ancillary, or sorry, I'm looking at the right one. Other than Gunner and Trooper operatives, the ancillary support can only include each operative above once, other than the Gunner and Trooper operatives. Okay, yeah, so they've got the Grenade Launcher, Hotshot Volley Gun, Melt-A-Gun, Plasma Gun. If you're familiar with the Compendium teams, I don't think there's anything different about these gunners here, except that they hit on 4-ups, whereas I think in the Compendium, I think they hit on 3s. Because that's why everybody was hating on Casterkin, right? Is because Scions are better. Not anymore. Not anymore on this team. They also have a medic, and then the comms operative. You select 1 friendly Inquisitorial agent, and you add 1 to its APL. So obviously, this being a mostly or wholly APL2 team, with the exception of the gunservator, having a model like that is going to be important. Let's talk about their equipment now. So they have the armored bodysuit for 2 equipment points. An Inquisition operative with a 5-up save. Basically, they get to retain one of their defense dice results of 4 as a successful save. There's the Refractor Field for 3 equipment points. You can only take 1 of these. You give it to a Inquisition operative. It gets a 4-up invulnerable save. The Servo Skull, which you can only take 1 of. This one, yeah, auto take. Once per turning point during this operative's activation, it can perform a mission action for 1 less action point to a minimum of 0 AP. That's awesome. The Mastercrafted Auto Pistol 2 EP, not bad. You can give it to any auto pistol except for the suppressed auto pistol on the Pistolir. You add 1 to both damage characteristics of that weapon for the battle. So it basically turns an auto pistol into a bolt weapon. The Power Knife is 3 equipment points. You can give it to anybody except for the Auto Savant and Mystic. The operative is equipped with the following melee weapon. 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, damage 3/5 with lethal 5. Not sure who I would be taking that on for 3 EP, to be honest. And then we've got frag grenades, we've got crack grenades, stun grenades, and smoke grenades. The Auto Savant, notably, cannot take any of those grenade options. Otherwise, that model would be stupid. But yeah, so that does it for the equipment. The best equipment choices outside of the grenades, I think, are going to have to be, obviously, the Servo Skull. Probably Servo Skull, Mastercrafted Pistol, in that order, and then just fill up on the grenades, really. So let's go back now and talk about their TAC ops. I guess we can talk about these. We'll save the best for last. We'll save their strategic and tactical plays for last. So the first tack up they have is Seize for Interrogation. So you reveal this tack up when an enemy operative that is more than 3 inches from other enemy operatives is incapacitated. Before it's removed from the kill zone, you place one of your interrogate tokens underneath that operative, underneath that operative as close as possible to the center of its base. Friendly Inquisitorial Agent operatives, excluding operatives with the Machine or Beast ability, can perform the pickup action on that token while not within engagement range of an enemy operative. You subtract a circle of movement from their movement characteristic while they are carrying it. And at the end of the battle, if friendly operatives control your interrogate token, you score 1 VP. And if a friendly operative is carrying your interrogate token, you score 1 VP. So, how do you score this the best way possible? Ideally, you wait as late in the game as you possibly can in order to kill a model. It's more than 3 inches away from another enemy operative, obviously. Reveal this tack up, and then you have one of your remaining operatives go over, perform the pickup action. Boom, there's your 2 CP. So your 2 VP. So if you can hold on to that until, or if you can do that turn 4. Usually turn 4 is kind of like the board state is fully developed, and you're going to have like these isolated pockets all over the board as to like there's going to be a very limited amount of ways in which your opponent can interact and prevent you from scoring usually. So I think that one's pretty good. I almost want to say take it every time. But yeah, it does require an action, so at least you got to do something in order to pick it up. Next up is No Witnesses. This is Faction Tac Op 2. If every enemy operative has been incapacitated, you score 2 VPs. And that's it. You need to table your opponent in order to score this. I hate this Tac Op, honestly. I think it's lazy in terms of game design. And I like how many games of Kill Team have you played where you've tabled your opponent? Think about that. I think like maybe I've tabled my opponent once, and it was an intercession versus intercession mirror match, and it was probably like the guy's like 3rd time playing the faction, and it was my like 15th time playing the faction. So yeah, this one is pretty bad. Don't take it. So next up we have Investigate Lead. This is the 3rd and final tac op. You reveal this tac op in the target reveal step of any turning point. You select one friendly operative to be your investigator. The second time your investigator performs the Investigate Lead action, you score 1 VP. At the end of the battle, if you achieve the first condition and that friendly operative has not been incapacitated, you score 1 VP. So you're sending a model out to be a detective, basically. So you can Investigate Lead for 1 AP. An investigator can perform this action while it controls an objective marker that hasn't been investigated by your kill team. If it does so, that objective marker has been investigated. An investigator cannot perform this action while within engagement range of an enemy operative. I don't think it's that bad. The fact that it just has to be an objective that has not been investigated, that's pretty good. I think all you have to do really is throw that servo skull from the equipment on one of your operatives who isn't going to be like doing anything else in the game, like trying to kill models or like seize an objective anywhere else. And that's going to allow you to perform a mission action for 0 CP 0 AP, because this action is 1 AP. So I mean, you can do this turn 1. Select an operative that you know is going to be able to hop onto a mid-board objective in like 1 thing of movement, I guess, or you can buff that model up to have another AP with like a comm specialist from any of those teams or whatever. And then you kind of, just put this model out, set it up and conceal, make sure you're being careful with it, try not to get it shot up, have it go and investigate that mid-board objective, and then have it actually come back and investigate like your home objective. So I think that's a pretty good strategy for scoring this one. I'm gonna say it's a B. We'll give it a B, B minus maybe. In terms of tac ops and how they go. At least this team has like 2, I think, like achievable tac ops. That no witnesses one is terrible. But like I said earlier, this team is not hurting for tac ops. All right, it can take any of the generic archetypes. So I think that's pretty good. So finally, let's get into their ploys here. The ploys, like I've been hyping up this entire video, are really good. So let's go ahead and see why. So we'll start off with the strategic ploys here. We have Denounce. Select one enemy operative and roll 1d3. In the firefight phase of this turning point, that enemy operative is treated as having a group activation characteristic of 1 and cannot be activated or perform actions until it is the last enemy operative to be activated, or a number of enemy operatives has been activated equal to the result of the d3, whichever comes first. And you can only use this strategic ploy once per battle. When am I going to use this ploy? Let's say I'm up against Navis Breachers. I know that my opponent, let's say we roll off, my opponent gets initiative, strategic ploy, or the strategic ploy step, passes to me. I'm going to choose to go ahead and denounce his demo, his demo specialist. That way he can't blitz me and then throw a charge into like 3 of my models and just like wipe half my team. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to denounce that model. He'll have to activate someone else, and then hopefully I should be able to get a model somewhere in order to either tie up that model in melee combat or just outright shoot it and kill it before it gets a chance to hurt me. We've got Intense Scrutiny, so until the end of the turning point, when determining line of sight for each friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative, enemy operatives within 2 of them are treated as having an engage order. That can be very powerful for obvious reasons. Then we have Quarry. For 1 CP, you select one enemy operative to be the Quarry until the end of the turning point. Each time an Inquisitorial Agent operative fights in combat with or makes a shooting attack against that enemy operative in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, you can re-roll one of your attack dice. And if the enemy operative is removed from the kill zone, you can select another to be the Quarry until the end of the turning point. So ideally, you're going to be getting a free reroll for every single one of your models that is targeting up to 2 models throughout this turning point. Great ploy. Great ploy. We have Irrefutable Jurisdiction for 1 CP. You select one objective marker. Until the end of the turning point, each time a shooting attack is made against a friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative within 2 of that objective marker, in the roll defense dice step of that shooting attack, you can reroll one of your defense dice. Like, reroll attacks, like, I'm all about. I'm, like, 100% with. But, like, rerolling one defense dice, in a game, this game definitely prefers, like, damage dealing over durability. And because most of the models are just, like, your baseline humans, 5-up save, 7 wounds, for the most part. Yeah, I can see this being useful maybe on like the Scrivener or whatever the robot dude with the giant like scroll is who's writing on. I could see using it on that if you're placing him on a midboard objective, but outside of that, I don't think it's not gonna be like a staple. So far, I think like in terms of strategic ploys, Quarry, Intense Scrutiny, and Denounce I think are all really, really good ploys, guys. Next up, we have Embedded Agent for 1 CP. This one, I was telling Shane about this one. This one is like actually crazy. So you use this tactical ploy at the start of the scouting step. You select one of the following. You select and reveal your scouting option after your opponent has already revealed theirs. And then if you both would do this, select and reveal happens as normal. So if you're in the Ashes of Faith mirror match, okay. And then the other option is, after revealing your scouting option, you can select and resolve an additional one. It must be different to your original selection, and initiative is still determined by your original selection. So Ryan, why is this so important? Well, if you just choose, select and reveal your scouting option after your opponent reveals theirs, you're going to have agency over who goes first turn 1 100% of the time, if you're budgeting your CP for this. And that can be incredibly, incredibly useful, because Who actually wants to go first, turning point 1? I'll give you a hint. Nobody. All right? So you give that to your opponent, turn 1, and then going into turn 2, you guys roll off for initiative. Who wins on ties? It's going to be you. So that is going to be a very powerful... I mean, it's not going to work 100% of the time, but like you're going to want to use it 100% of the time, you dig? Next up, we have Absolute Authority. So uses tactical ploy during the battle when an opponent uses a strategic ploy or a tactical ploy, excluding command reroll. Their ploy is not used. The command point they spent on it is refunded, and they cannot use it again during this turning point. Oh, also you can't use this like during the scouting step or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that like the orcs can still do like the forward deploy thing. Same thing for AdMech, if I'm remembering correctly, or Hunter Clade, I should say. But yeah, no, this is basically a counterspell. If you're familiar with Magic, your opponent chooses a tactical or a strategic ploy. You spend 1 CP to use this. You say no. And then they get their CP refunded, but they can't use that. So like this team, let's say you're playing against Intercession or something. Intercession, they have their combat doctrines. Usually they're going to be wanting to take tactical doctrines, so they get the rerolls for shooting against targets inside of 6 from them, which is like the most common range that you're going to be shooting. You can just say no. So you can just mess with like that team's entire game plan. You can also use this on tactical ploys. So say, once again, you're playing against Intercession. The plasma pistol sergeant dies, and it wasn't in melee, so now he's going to get an opportunity to shoot on death with whatever that tactical ploy is. You spend 1 CP, and you say no. That is so powerful. Like, when I'm playing Intercession, like, I'm budgeting 1 CP so I can shoot on death. If I'm playing against somebody who has CP and they can just shut that down, honestly, like, my game plan goes out the window, and I think the team, like, goes down, like, a tier or 2. So, yeah, really good. And let's not forget, you take the robot dude, the robot recorder man, the auto savant agent, and you're going to be getting a CP each subsequent time your opponent uses a strategic or tactical ploy. Fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. There is Relentless in Pursuit for 1 CP. So use this tactical ploy after an enemy operative performs a fallback action. Select one friendly operative that was within the enemy operative's engagement range before it moved, but is no longer within an enemy operative's engagement range. That friendly operative can immediately perform a free action, but other than the dash action, cannot perform an action in which it moves. So if a model falls back from, say, like your Pistolir or something for some reason, you get to perform a free action. I mean, I feel like situationally this is going to be good. I feel like there's not a whole lot of fallback actions going on, but this is great if that happens. I'm not going to necessarily be budgeting CP for it every turn, but hey, it's not horrible. The Emperor's Will for 1 CP. You use this tactical ploy when a friendly Inquisitorial Agent operative is activated. Until the end of the turning point, you can ignore any or all modifiers to that operative's characteristic, including modifiers to the characteristics of its weapons. So, once again, another situationally good tactical ploy. I guess it's something to keep in mind whenever you're playing against teams that can mess with your modifiers, stuff like that. So, yeah. But yeah, aren't these like great ploys? Like the Absolute Authority, Embedded Agent, Intense Scrutiny, and Quarry, I think are all great. Denounce can be really... I mean, Denounce, you can only use it once per battle, so it's like, yeah, budget it. Use it once per battle. It is a very powerful ability. Yeah, I think the ploys are fantastic. All right, so I know you guys are probably thinking like, what? Okay, so Ryan, you're just gonna be starting off with like the 7 Imperium agents. What else are you gonna use to fill out this team? What ancillary support options do you think are good? So I'm gonna say Exaction Squad. Surprisingly, I think is gonna be pretty good. The reason for that is you can take... So basically with Exaction Squad, you're going to want to take the 2 subductors, just the, the shock maul and assault shield guys. just to give this team some kind of like melee staying power more than anything else. You're going to want to take the Vox Signifier, and then it does have the Precinct Vox Relay, so it can give one of your Imperial Agent models +1 APL, unless you're taking like the Cyber Mastiff as well, in which case you can't. But yeah, I think that's an interesting play there. I think since both the Kasrkin and the Scions both now hit on 4s, I think you're better off going with the Kasrkins. So that's another team that I would be looking at picking up and throwing into the team if you can even find them, and you don't already have them. The Witch Seekers are definitely an auto include. I would build them with either bolters. I would do like, if you have like 10 of them, I would say do 5 with bolt guns, do 5 with swords, and then you can just team them up however you want. You're probably going to want the swords, honestly, just because they can do so much more damage than the bolters, and you're going to be wanting moving these models up the field and away from your Psyker anyway with the Mystic. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that wraps everything up that I wanted to talk about regarding the new Inquisition kill team. I think this team is good. I think because of those tactical ploys and the flexibility of the models, how you can like react and actually like list tailor to your opponent, I think this team's going to be very powerful coming out of the gate. Would not be surprised at all to see it place at S tier. You're going to be generating a lot of CP. You're going to be limiting the ways in which your opponent can play CP. And there's a lot of good models in the team. It really feels like a complete team. The only thing that I think is really lacking is, that faction TAC Op 2. There's so much flexibility here. What I've said with regards to like the ancillary support, and the way you build your list, the way you do equipment is definitely not an end-all be-all, because it's so open-ended with the 30 different models you can take in your roster. And the TAC Ops are just good, period, against pretty much any kill team. So yeah, honestly, would not be surprised to see this team like be S tier, start winning tournaments, But yeah, that's all I got for you today. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like the video, make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you guys think of the new Inquisitorial Agent kill team down in the comments below. Outside of that, if you enjoy the content and you want to support us further, we do have a Patreon. We do have a YouTube channel membership that you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. You can help support Command Point. And then, yeah, like I said earlier in this video, we do have merch now. So if any of that interests you, go and pick some up. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again in the next one.